Hey guys, Liz Hogan here again. Now that we've finished our top string and sidewall of our one-way pocket in the Exult 600, we're going to be moving on to our crosslace. So to start our crosslace, we're going to take an end of our crosslace and actually guide it through that same hole that we used for our top string. So sneak it right in there. And you want 2 equal parts. And then you're just going to make a knot. And the knot isn't super essential, but it helps us string the pocket a little bit easier without having to worry about a shift. Okay. So now we're going to proceed just like we're doing our sidewall or top string. We're going to go from the top of the back of the head through towards the front of the head and then come back up with that lace. Okay, and this is called a knot. So we're going to go from the runner back over to the nylon runner. And again, you can see that this is going to make a triangle, and you want the triangle to be symmetrical. So you don't want to have your other knot be way up here or super far down here. You want it to be pretty symmetrical. We're going to go through the next gap. Okay. Again, going from the top, from the back side of the head to the front, and then back up to that loop. And now we're going to start skipping. So skipping means instead of going through this gap here, we're going to skip it and go to the next one. So we're skipping that U entirely. Okay. And you'll see that I have my hand here, and that's to kind of keep the tension. And then I'm going to go back towards the nylon runner. Again, I'm going to skip. I'm going to come back here. And as I work my way down, I'm going to get a little bit tighter, okay? Trying to keep the symmetrical of the triangles. I'm going to skip one last time. So again, I haven't done anything with the U's yet. I'm going to go back over. And now what we're going to do is we're actually going to grab the center of the opposite U. So you can see that the runway pocket has these U's here. So instead of just going normally through here, we're actually going to grab the U from the opposite side. So you kind of string it in the middle of both of them and pull tight. And what that does is similar to how we're making the pocket tighter as we go down, it's really forcing the ball to go up towards the top of the head, which is where that sweet spot is. So once we grab it, come back. Now we're going to do the exact same thing. So we're going to skip that middle one, but we're going to go through the U on the opposite side. Okay. And then all we're going to do from there is go one last knot. And then we're just going to take our remaining string, go through that bottom last sidewall hole, and knot it off. You can do a single or double overhand. It does not really matter as long as it is tight and secure. So now we've done our first inside cross lace, and when we're stringing the head, we always go from inside out. So we just went from the runner to the outside nylon, and instead of going now from the outside nylon to the sidewall, we actually need to do the inside of the opposite side of the head. So we're going to go ahead and grab our other piece of nylon. And the same steps are going to apply. So we're going to take our cross lace, we're going to find that loop, we're going to drive it through that gap. Again, making equal pieces, tying a knot just like you would a shoelace. And we're going to begin with the same exact steps. So my first is through this loop here. Again, we're not connecting the U's on this one. Back to the sidewall, or to the nylon runner, again going outside. We're going to do everything that we did on the other side. So now we're going to go through this one, again, coming from the top, going under. And now we're going to start our skipping. Okay, so we're going to skip here. Go to our next one. And really make sure that your knots are tight, but not so tight that they're changing the way the pocket is formed. Your hand will do all that you need. Skip. And we're going to have one last skip. So we gotta go back to our nylon. We're gonna skip. And then this is where we're gonna start grabbing the U from the opposite side. So we've already kind of created it with our other side, but again, we're gonna go through that U of the right side. Pull tight. Go through the U. Pull tight. And then we're gonna make one last knot and then come to the outside and tie off. Okay, so now we have our inside of our pocket complete, and you should notice that all of the knots are pretty symmetrical and across from one another. If they're not, now's a good time to adjust your pocket. And now all we need to do is go on the outside. So to go to the outside, we're going to proceed just like we did on any other part of our cross lace. We're going to go from the top, the back side of the head to the front side of the head through this little gap. Come back up with that loop. Okay. Sometimes your string might coil a little bit, that's fine. Just get it so it's nice and straight. And now when we get back to our center nylon, we're gonna have to mix things up a little bit. So instead of going over and through here, we actually need to come under. And when we come under, we're gonna go through that little gap that we created. We have our loop, and come back in. And the reason why we switch directions is that we need a tight interlock. If we were to go over as well, then we wouldn't have a nice tight and secure interlock. So we need to make sure that we go under when we come back to the center nylon. All right, so going back to the sidewall, this one's a little tricky. So you gotta drive it through this little piece. If you need to, you might have to loosen it up a little bit. All right, so get it through that sidewall. Back up. And again, when we come back to the nylon, we come from the front side of the stick, going through that hole that we've created. Okay? You need to make sure you have that interlock and you're actually connecting the hole. Now we're going to go through our sidewall here. We're going to move on down, trying to create those as even as possible triangles that we can. Okay, so let me go down a little bit, and then back to our nylon. And you're just going to continue going down, doing the same thing, coming from the back side and the front side, depending on which side of the head you're on, making sure that you're always getting that loop. You're just going to proceed all the way down the head. Here. Pull. And same thing will apply as we get closer to the bottom of the head. We're going to tighten it up just a little bit. Again, just to drive the ball up towards the top of the pocket. Oops. Here. And our last one needs to come through this hole. And then you're just going to tie off in the same hole that you used for the last cross lace. Again, keeping it kind of tight. So you've done one full side of the head, we just need to finish the other side. We're going to do the exact same thing we just did. Again, driving the cross lace over from this side and then under from the side of the nylon. First, we're going to go towards the sidewall like we did on the other side. Cross lace through. And then similar to the other side, we need to come under through that hole. Making sure, again, we grab that loop. And then we're going to go over into this little sidewall guy. Up, back under through this side. And then make sure as you're going down, you're paying attention to the sidewall and where you're connecting it. You want to make sure that if you put 2 in one side of the sidewall, that you're doing the same. So you can see I use 2 knots on this section of the sidewall and only 1 everywhere else. So I want to make sure as I do that on the way down, I use the same sections of sidewall when I make my knots. So we're going to go under. Make sure you get that loop. And then tie off. Again, through that same hole that you used for the last cross lace.